Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Noodle Journey, where we'll be trying something totally different by looking at a yuzu flavored ramen from the brand Itsuki. This is their Hokkaido Yuzushio flavor. So, yes, this is a pretty neat offering, and I'm honestly not sure if I even like yuzu or not because I have never had it. But I can't wait to try this because it's something completely new to me. If you're unaware, yuzu is a small citrus fruit from Japan adjacent to a lemon or a grapefruit. There are some few and far between ramen varieties that have yuzu in them, and this was the first one I saw in person at my local Asian grocery store, so I bought it. The shio part of this refers to the style of broth, which, as you may already know from my other videos, translates to salt. Whereas you've got tonkatsu, which is a pork bone broth, and shoyu, which is a soy sauce broth. Shio is a pale broth made from chicken, fish, vegetables, or some combination of those. So at a very basic level, we can think of this as a citrusy, clear broth, which sounds good to me. Itsuki also makes a yuzu shoyu, which would be yuzu and soy sauce broth, so if this goes well, you bet your ass I'm buying that one eventually. Itsuki is a ramen company that has been around since, holy shit, 1878. That is incredible. They've been selling noodles for almost 150 years. Their flagship original dry noodle product actually dates all the way back to 1960. Besides that, Itsuki's current line of ramen products showcase different culinary styles from different regions of Japan, similar to other brands like Marutai, if you've ever heard of them or seen them before. And yes, I do plan to review Marutai noodles eventually, but I have something special planned for them if things work out the way I want. Ooh, foreshadowing. I digress. This ramen style comes from Hokkaido, which is also world-renowned for being the origin of both Sapporo beer and miso ramen. Based on my research, Hokkaido noodles, which we'll see when I open this up, seem to vary in both thickness and waviness depending on their application, and in this case, based on the packaging, I believe we're going to find straight noodles with a thin gauge. You can find this product at many different levels of price gouging on Amazon, or if you hit up Yami or your local Asian market, you can find this for around $3 to $6. This was $4.79 at my Asian grocery store, and that's not bad because this is 2 individual servings of noodles in here. So 2 meals for under $5. Groovy. Fair warning that not every variety from Itsuki has 2 servings. Some have just 1. So even if it's written in Japanese, there's always a number on the packaging that tells you. Like this pack of Itsuki's Hakata Tonkatsu shows you right here. Yeah, I can't wait to review this one too. Anyway, that's what you want to look for if you're buying this brand and want to evaluate the cost per serving value. Back into the review pile you go, Hakata Tonkatsu. I will see you soon. Anyway, the package promises this is animal-free, and the ingredients seem to confirm that this is vegan, so bonus for anyone who avoids animal products. Any chicken broth flavor in this looks to be entirely artificial, which I suspect will be somewhat derived from the MSG and yeast extract I see in the ingredients. Sodium content is 2,430 milligrams, which is over your daily allowance, 106%. So maybe don't drink all the broth if you're watching your salt intake. So inside are 2 bundles of these nice-looking straight noodles and 2 soup packets. Besides the yuzu, this is some pretty standard clear vegetable broth flavoring in here, like salt, sesame oil, garlic, onion, and some mushroom powder. So, sounds delightful. Let's cook. All right, the noodles cooked pretty quickly, 2.5 minutes. We're going to add in the soup powder now and stir it all together. All right, looks like that is dissolved. The aroma of this is very mildly citrusy. What I'm actually smelling most is sesame, which is not a bad thing. You like sesame oil. I'm just going to say this again. I've never had yuzu before in any form, so I won't be able to tell you if this actually tastes like it should. I can only offer my opinion on whether or not I think it's good. And isn't that the important part? All right, let's go for it. Interesting. Let's start with the spice level. There is none. No chili in this, so if you hate spicy food, no need to worry. 0 out of 10 on the spice scale. I could kind of see a spicy chili powder working really, really well with this broth, but that's an experiment for another time. The noodles are thin, but they retained an incredible chewiness. I think they go really well with the very light nature of this broth. While in the past I've said I might like thicker noodles than this, personally, um, these are still excellent. They're very simple, just wheat flour, water, and salt, and they're terrific. 10 out of 10 on the noodles. I'm really surprised at how good these are. So the overall flavor of the broth. The packaging does call it mellow, and I have to agree. It's certainly salty, but there is some subtle and slightly complex flavor going on besides that. Most notably, of course, is the yuzu, which is coming off as pretty tart, sour, not as sweet as I expected, especially because some people have described it as tasting like grapefruit. I don't think that's the case. I think this tastes more like a fairly unsweet lemon, if I had to make a comparison. A little more full bodied than a lemon, but maybe you get the idea. There's not a whole lot of sweetness to the broth, even though there is sugar in the ingredients. Besides that, there's a tiny little hint of garlic and onion coming through. A little bit of earthiness from the mushroom, but I wouldn't call the flavor mushroomy. It's just a very indistinct umami flavor. And then there's sesame. Very, very strong hit of sesame oil. So everything is certainly working together rather than being dominated by one main flavor. But I would definitely say that the citrus and the sesame are the two main takeaways from this broth. It's pretty simple at its core. For me, it's a very pleasant, comforting flavor. It's nice. It's definitely unique. Uh, and I think it's probably worth dressing up with some fresh ingredients. It's not what I would call absolutely perfect, because I think the overall flavor of the broth is kind of one note, but I do like the one note. Sadly, as is the trend with some of this more premium ramen, there is not a single dehydrated green onion or even toasted sesame seed in sight. I think this would have benefited from some kind of garnish included in the package. Something as basic as those toasted sesame seeds would really elevate this. I usually knock my score down when that happens unless the flavor is exceptional, and the flavor here is pleasant enough, pretty good, but not what I would call exceptional. So with all that in mind, I'm going to grade this a reasonably good 7 out of 10 overall. It's tasty. I just don't think it's knock your socks off tasty. Well, another review down, and now I guess I probably know what yuzu tastes like. This is not a ramen that's going to stand up to some of the more flavor-intense varieties out there that use meat and soy sauce, but it's still a pleasant enough bowl of noodles on its own merits. If the packaging is accurate, you can dress this up with some simple add-ons like green onion, egg, pork, sesame seeds, or even corn, if you must. And you'll have a comforting meal that doesn't break the bank. But you have to like the tart sting of citrus to appreciate this ramen, as well as that toasted earthiness that you get from sesame oil. And watch out for the sodium, too. So this was definitely a decent enough start to the Itsuki brand for me, because the noodles themselves are killer. Do you have any strong opinions on yuzu or citrusy soup in general? Is this something you've tried or are interested in trying? Let me know in the comments. I've got more varieties from Itsuki coming up someday, and if you really want to know about that Hakata Tonkatsu I pulled out earlier, I might push that nearer to the top of the queue. So please be on the lookout for that review and all the other cool, tasty stuff I've got lined up by liking and subscribing. And I'll see you on the next episode of Noodle Journey.